Welcome. Today we're looking at Gospel from Matthew 11. It goes like this. To what can I compare this generation, says Jesus. They're like children sitting in the marketplaces and calling out to others, we played the pipe for you and you didn't dance. So we sang a dirge and you didn't mourn. For John the Baptist came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, he's got a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, they say, here is a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is proved right by her deeds. And at that time Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you've hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for this is what you were pleased to do. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So, 3 years ago, I would have never dreamed I'd be living on the Gold Coast, but here I am. And here's a view looking down from someone's high-rise, looking out on the Broadwater and the Spit. And it's actually a nice place to go for a swim on the Spit because it's not too crowded, even in the peak times in summer. So everyone thinks about the Gold Coast and thinks, oh yeah, life's amazing. And yeah, for some it is. But not everyone has super glamorous hair, not everyone has super glamorous skin, and not everyone has super glamorous bodies, and not everyone has a super glamorous lifestyle. For plenty of people here on the Gold Coast as well as everywhere else, life's hard. Things happen. Maybe we bring them on ourselves, maybe we didn't. And you need to know that anywhere, including the Gold Coast, it's not all happiness, success, or perfection. But we also need to know that God is in those hard places with us. And that's what Jesus says when he has this little, quite different sort of tone prayer. We don't see much of this in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. We see more of it in John, this private communication with his Father. I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you've hidden these things from the wise and learned, and you've revealed them to little children. So there's a wisdom way about doing life that Jesus gets. And those religious people who are critiquing him, what are you doing eating with tax collectors and sinners? Those people didn't get it. And if they didn't get Jesus, that means they don't get grace and God's presence with us. Life's hard and God is with us. A few months ago, I came across this American woman called Kate Bowler. She's now 43, but this photo is probably when she's 35 or 36. So she was an academic, Christian, mother of a 2-year-old, and suddenly the lower abdominal pains turn out to be stage 4 colon cancer, and she had no outlook of surviving. But survive she did. Before that, she'd written a book called Blessed, a history of the American prosperity gospel. She's an academic and an associate professor, critiquing or looking at the history of that whole teaching of you can have it all. You can be Christian, if you've got Jesus, you're going to be blessed, you're going to be rich, you're going to have more than enough. Now that's true, but not in the way that this stuff was. Suddenly, after her cancer diagnosis and treatment, she's writing a different sort of book, including this one, No Cure for Being Human, and other truths I need to hear, because her whole life changed and her whole way of doing things had to change. Here are 6 things that she says, do not say when you're visiting someone who's going through like what she went through. Never say, things will get better, I promise. Instead say, Oh, my friend, that sounds so hard. Oh dear, I've heard this said by people when there's been a death of a child or something. God must have needed an angel. Instead say, I wish I knew the right words. I'm here for you. There'll be a blessing in this. Yeah, of course there will be. And there's other Bible verses that say that. God works good out of bad. God turns things around. But when someone's right in that crunch or crisis time, they don't want to hear that and they're not ready to hear that. Instead say, don't say anything. You don't know what to say. And it's interesting, when Job's 3 friends came to comfort him when he's lost everything, he's sitting there on the rubbish heap scraping at his sores with a piece of broken pottery, the 3 friends actually do this. For 7 days they just sit with him in silence. Then after that they get it wrong, but they did that 7 days of just sitting and being with Job beautifully. Never say, oh, when my aunt had cancer, and you know how we all tend to drop our own stories onto someone else, or when you're going through something like childbirth or whatever else, everyone will give you their wisdom and their advice, whether you need it or not. Instead say, can I come sit with you? You can see where Kate Bowler's coming from and what she's trying to get us to do. Don't say God never gives us more than we can handle. Yeah, there is that Bible verse in Corinthians about, yeah, we all get tempted, but God won't tempt us beyond our strength, and there'll be a way out that he'll provide. That's true, but when someone's right in the middle, they're not ready to hear that. Just say, I'd love to bring a family meal this week. Can I text you about that? Are there any special dietary requirements? So, practical kindness. Never say everything happens for a reason. Instead say, I'm so grateful to hear about how you're doing. Just know that I'm on your team. So what she's saying is we need people around us who hold us, maybe literally, figuratively, in a safe way. Don't jump on us, don't try to fix us, don't try to tell us what to do. Just hold us and maybe allow us then to process what's happened or what's gone wrong. I can name a number of people in my life who have been that sort of a person for me. Held me, given me space, haven't critiqued me, haven't criticised me, haven't told me I was stupid. And that's allowed me then to work through things. And that's what we're called to do for each other as well. There's a technical term for this when something goes really badly wrong and then we have no idea what's going to happen. It's called liminal space. It's that in the threshold, and we can't fix things, we can't sort out and make the past change and get all better, and we have no idea what the future is going to be. Liminal space. And it's there that we've got to learn to trust and call out to God and look for the new or different things God is working in our lives. And the prayer that maybe men need to pray when they're in this space is, Lord, what do I need to learn here? What are you showing me? And so far I haven't got it. That prayer of helplessness, but prayer of openness to what God wants to do in us or through us. So back to Kate Bowler. She's got a podcast and you can check that out on her website, Everything Happens. And I've really appreciated listening to some of those episodes. And there's a whole lot of people she's talked with. And the people she talks with are those who have had something big go wrong. And somehow they've got through that and it's changed them. Kate Bowler also comes up with blessings and prayers for people in ordinary, messy situations. Here's one of them. See if it works for you. Blessed are you who see things clearly, where struggle is everyone's normal. You walk among the fellowship of the afflicted, a club no one wants to join. And while this life isn't shiny, it does come with superpowers. Superpowers of ever-widening empathy and existential courage that gets you back up after another fall. And a deepened awe at the beauty and love that can be found amid life's rubble. Like flowers that grow from the cracks in the sidewalk, these virtues blossom in you, and thank God for you. Blessed are all of us who struggle, for we're in good company and will never walk alone. So there's Kate Bowler's blessing for us. And here's what Jesus says to us. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So there's that invitation. Come and somehow just open up a tiny bit as we're able to Jesus. A tiny bit for him to come in and start to work in us and with us. It's so easy to get, oh, it's all about me. So we come and we learn to open up even just a tiny bit. Take my yoke upon you. That's first century farm language. Yoke around two oxen, the wooden bit around that goes around the collars so the oxen can pull the plough or the cart or whatever. So the invitation is be yoked up with Jesus, not yoked up with all our problems and issues and whatever else. Be yoked up with Jesus and let him be the lead oxen. Let him help to shoulder our load. And there's those beautiful words, I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls. Life is hard. There are times when it certainly is. And there's the invitation for us, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden. And Kate Bowler says there's a promise of superpowers that will come out of this. Empathy, just the guts to go on for the next step and the step after that, to get out of bed to do what needs to be done. And at the heart of all that, it's a miracle of Good Friday, Jesus with us in darkness, in failure, in everything going wrong, Jesus with us in death, and then the sure and certain hope and promise of Easter, new life that comes out of death. So, life's hard. Jesus knows that. He does it with us. And there are ways through. And out of that, good things happen, including your own little superpowers. Blessings.